not attend, absent. They joined. Only 26 students are there. What about the remaining students? Yes, Rashmi, how is the preparation for a fest?
Yes, ma'am, going on.
Yes, students, if others also, if you have any innovative ideas, you can share with your friends to conduct any, because last time we did typeathon, because typeathon, other department, they have not conducted. We have conducted typeathon. Like this, any new technical events, if you want to, if you have any plans, if you have any ideas, you can share with your friends and faculties, and we will try to execute those events. Yes.
Ma'am, ಯಾವಾಗ ma'am ಅದು ಫೆಸ್ಟಿವಲ್?
18 ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, 18, 19. I don't know exactly. I think December 18, 19. December 18, 19 ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡೇ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? Friday, Saturday ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Maybe it is December 18, 19. Still we don't know exactly, but it is December 18, 19. No, but means they are telling December 18, 19. I don't know exactly.
Okay.
Still we have not got any circular, any invitation we have not got.
Okay.
Rashmi, did you speak with Sadhana regarding brochure? Because brochure is very important. Once the brochure is ready, then you can start doing the advertisement. Yes, students. Yes, students. In next week, I'll give a third assignment questions, and I'll give you 1 week to write and submit the third assignment.
Yes.
Yes, all of you can hear me now. Yes, students, is my screen is visible? Can you see the PPT?
She told, yeah, I will do.
Okay. So yes, students, in last class we were seeing about the test case. Yes. Anybody want to tell anything?
Yes, ma'am, I told.
What was that? Okay. Okay, students, we'll discuss that later. First, let me start my class. Anyway, if you have any ideas and all, you can share with Sudarshan sir. In last class, we have seen the mutation analysis. The mutation means, yes, any answer? What is mutation?
Yes, ma'am.
Mutation is nothing but the variation, or the yes, Rashmi, tell me.
We cannot
Yeah,
see the PPT.
so mutation.
Just
Yes, Rashmi.
The
Rashmi, what did you say? I did not listen. Your voice was breaking. ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. So what about other students? Other can able to see the screen?
ಇಲ್ಲ ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸಿ ಜುಂಜರ್ he can see. ಅರ್ಜುನ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅರ್ಜುನ್.
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
ಲತಾ.
Yes, ma'am.
ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
No, ma'am.
ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಅದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಶೇರ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. Yes, now is it visible, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in last class, Rashmi ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಮ್ಮ? Rashmi? Is all of you can see the screen, students? If anybody is not able to see, please tell me. Sunil ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Neelanjan, are you able to see the screen? Okay. If anybody not able
Yes,
to
ma'am,
see,
you can.
then please tell me. Okay, in last class, we have seen the mutation analysis and some of the terminologies and variations of mutations we have seen. The mutation is nothing but a variation or the changes. This is most commonly used in software testing. Why? Because once we develop a project, every time we try, especially in testing, we try with the new different variables, different statements. If I write the same expression, if I write in this way, how the output will be. If I write in the other way, how the output will be. Like that, we will be checking. We will be checking. So the variation will be more in when we do testing. So whatever the variations we do or whatever the mutations we do to the program, to the original program, the behavior or the output of the program should not change. The output of the program should not change. Whatever the output we are expecting, it should give the same output. If it is not giving a expected output, if the program behavior is changing, then that mutation will be rejected. That we have seen in the last class. And now we will see scaffolding. See, students, previously, 20 years back, that time also we were having these programming languages, 20-25 years back, but not the new technologies like the .NET plugins. The plugins we were not having. Now to develop a web page, we have using HTML tags also we can do, and we have other plugins also to develop or to make an attractive web page. And to develop a project, we have nowadays in the market we have Visual Studio. It is just a drag and drop. Whatever the to create a user interface or to design the user interface, what all the tools you want, everything is available in the toolbox. Everything is available in the toolbox. Just you drag and drop. To display the output also we have grid view. To display the image also we have a image. And to insert the button we have button toolbox. So everything is readily available in Visual Studio. Just we have to drag and drop, and for that just write a few lines of code and you will get an output. But if you're the same C program, if you use a C program, you have to create a GUI. If I use a C program, is it as easy as .NET students? No, it is not easy. So if I compare C programming and Visual Studio, the development is entire. Maybe the logic may be same. The development is very different, because here just one form I'll create and I'll execute a form, and the next form I'll create and I'll execute the next form. Then after completion of all creation of a form, then I'll give a link. Yes, students, we'll do like this only. No, if I am developing a registration form, then for the registration form, then the transport details form. So all the forms are developed separately. Once all the forms are executing successfully, then what I do, I integrate the forms. So, but in the case of C program, you cannot do like this. Unless and until if you complete the whole project, you cannot get a output. Where in the case of Visual Studio, what happens? A first form will be created, execute that form, and next form will be secret. So the meaning is part by part you can test. Correct? No? First part you are testing, then Next login page I have developed. So login page I'll test. Next the transport details. Next the registration details. Next the hostel details. So separately, when I create each form, so each form will be tested separately. Correct, Alva? Whereas in the case of C program, it is not it is not happening like that. Once you complete the project, once you complete the project, only then you can see the output. In C program, you cannot check part by part. So this scaffolding. It is a process of checking a portion. The scaffolding is nothing but, yes, students, this you understand. The scaffolding is, it is a process of checking a portion of the data, or portion of the program, or portion of the application, or portion of the project before I'm testing a complete system. Before I do the system testing means a whole system will be there. Correct? No, a whole system will be there. There we don't have a we are not testing unit wise. Complete system will be tested. Whereas in the case of scaffolding, unit wise. Right? Unit wise means portion by portion we do the testing. So during much of development, only the portion of a full system is available for testing. So still we are in the development. So still I am in the development stage. Still I have not completed the project. So I'll not. Still I have not completed the project. Only a part of the project I have completed. It may be a login form, it may be a registration form, or it may be contact details, or just it may be a home page. So I have not done a complete project. So during the development, only a portion of the system, only the portion will be tested. So that testing at that portion is nothing but scaffolding. So here we are not checking the complete system. A portion of the project will be tested. When we do so, when we are in between, when we have started just, and when just we have started the project, when still we are in a development stage, then what we do, then this scaffolding will be used. This scaffolding will come into picture when we are in a development stage. In modern development methodologies, the partially developed system is likely to consist one of or more runnable program and may even be considered a version. So in the development method, in the modern development methodology, yes, that's why I told you C program and this Visual Studio example. In C program, what happens once I complete the development of the project, then only successfully I can execute. I cannot execute like how I did part by part in Visual Studio. Whereas in the case of Visual Studio, I can if I develop a website for education institute, first first what I do, yes, students, first what I do, I give a login to each user. It may be admin, it may be principal, it may be student, non-teaching staff, teaching staff, technical staff, whoever will be there to them, I'll give a login. So login page, once the login page successful, then the contact details and the registration form. Contact details and the registration form. So without registering to my website to access any information, I will not give the accessibility for the other information. So next what I do, I'll create a form for transport. Next I'll create form for food facilities or accommodation, that is hostel. So here I can say this is the version 1 and version 2. Like this I can do. Yes, students, like this I can do, no? I'll respond. So next, if I include some more function, next if I include some more features, then my project will be a version 3. So the more runnable program might even be considered as a version. So different version. So here in this version, only this part I'm checking. Yes, students, in this version only this part I'm checking, and in the second version only I'm checking for transport and hostel. The next version, version 3, in version 3 I'm including a form for placement. I'm including a form for placement, so there only the placement details will be there. Only the like this, a part by part, a version by version I am developing, I am executing or I am testing the code. The code development to facilitate testing is called scaffolding. So the code which is used, which facilitate for a testing, that is known as scaffolding. By analogy to the temporary structure acted around the building during the construction or maintenance. So the when we construct a building, so here I will not talk about the building, so I will talk about only this project only. So when we develop the program, so before we give to the customer, before we hand over to the customer, so we have to test, we have to test. And you know, students, one thing, if we are using some software from IBM, if I am using a rational software from IBM, so what I do, I purchase a software. So because that is not a freely available software, that is IBM people, they are selling to each education institute if they want to use the rational software. So what happens that when I purchase the software from company, they send a person for maintenance. Why? If we face any difficulty, if the project is, if the software is not working properly, then to assist us, to provide a to help the users, they are sending a people, they are sending a person, that we call as a maintenance. For maintenance they are coming here. So when we do the code development, so what we do, we test everything, we test everything before we hand over to the customer. And still, when they use when they use, they should not face any difficulty. So that's why what they do, they send a maintenance person. Any difficulty if we are facing, then they will come and help us. The purpose of scaffolding are to provide controllability to execute test case and observability to judge the outcome of the test execution. Yes, students, not only the purpose of scaffolding, the purpose of software testing only to get a control and to observe the output and to judge the how the program is executing. So the purpose of scaffolding is to provide a controllability. See, when I check properly, then only I'll be having a control over the program or the project, and observability to judge the outcome. So to judge the outcome, whether the when we observe the output properly, only then we are able to judge whether the output is, whatever the output we are getting, that is right or wrong. And the same to show the scaffolding, or to apply the scaffolding, we need a user interface. We need a user interface. Here, that's why I have given here this point. Consider, for example, an interactive program that is normally driven through a graphical user interface. So the same example, students. Yes, students, without graphical user interface, can this scaffolding will work? See, why we use a user interface? The user interface is a medium. The interface is a medium between the system and the user. So in this interface, whatever the functionalities we have added to the project, everything will be available. So how we execute with the help of a interface? When I use an interface, only then I'll be able to do the scaffolding. When I have the interface, only then I'll be able to apply the scaffolding. How? Because when I in the interface, if I check here, I'm checking for the login page. I'm checking for login ID and password. How, without interface, is it possible to check? I have database. I have created a database. In the database, I have given the username and password. If those two are matching, then the user can log in successfully. For that, I have written the code also, and I have the database also. But when I don't have the interface, without interface, I cannot log in. So once I create an interface, then I do testing. I check whether the login page is working properly, working fine, or it has any error. That checking is nothing but this scaffolding. So to do any scaffolding, we need a graphical user interface. We need a graphical user interface. The generic versus specific scaffolding. Yes, students, scaffolding means here it is it is similar, it is testing only. So sometimes we have to do a specific testing, and sometimes we have to do a general testing. Generally, the functionality, the performance of the performance of the project, the scalability of the project, scalability of the project, and maintenance of the project, and functionality. How this some the non-functional requirements. The non-functional requirements maybe you can consider as a general purpose test scaffolding. Yes, general. If I check specifically whether this text box is working fine, whether this text box I have used to take a input from the user. What input? Email ID. In the email ID, the user they should give BMS at gmail.com. See, my mail ID should be like this. So my mail ID should be like this: BMS at gmail.com. Yes, students, this is the standard format of any mail IDs. So BMS at gmail.com. If I give BMS at g.com, will it work? Will it work? Yes, students, this text box I have used. See, here I am doing a specific scaffolding, specific testing. Correct, no? Specifically, I am checking whether this text box is taking correct input, valid input or not. The most commonly used, I use an example: phone number, mobile number. It should take only the digits. It should not allow any characters. Getting? So like this, a specific scaffoldings we do here. A generic is nothing but a general versus specific scaffolding. Any other example, students, you want to give? Okay. The simplest form of scaffolding is a driver program that runs a single specific test case. Yes, I told before also, this scaffolding is used to check a here we are not checking a complete system. A unit wise it is testing. We are not checking a complete project or complete application. So the simplest form of scaffolding is a driver program that runs a single specific test case. So here, a specific test case, it may be a login page, it may be a registration form, or it may be a placement detail. Again, in the placement detail, a particular field only we may check, but here generally we are not checking in the scaffolding. Writing hundreds or thousands of such test specific driver On the other hand, maybe cumbersome and distinctive to through the testing. So here we write hundreds or thousands of test cases. So using scaffolding, so we check only a specific test cases. We are not going to check all the particular all the fields, only a specific, whichever I want to test, only that we check. At least one level of generic scaffolding supports can be used across the fairly wide class of application. See, students, uh, the generic specific scaffolding means we check only the specific test cases or specific functionality. A generic scaffolding means generally, uh, here generally we have to check. I told no the performance of the project, scalability of the project, functionality of the project, like that we have to check. And in the generic fully generic scaffolding may suffice for small number of handwritten test cases. See, students, what happens sometimes without implementing in the project, we write we write the test cases by hand, and we check before we implement that into the program or application. We make some checklist. We do some checklist for the test cases. So in that checklist, what we write how many test cases we want, what are the test cases we want to execute. So like that, handwritten test cases will be written. So based on the demand, if that is necessary, only then we may write test cases, and whichever is necessary, only those test cases we try to check. And scaffolding to replace a portion of the system in somewhat more demanding and again both generic and application specific approach are possible. The scaffolding, it replaces a portion. As I told, scaffolding is used a specific test cases. Scaffolding is used to test a specific functionality, whichever is on demand. Whichever is on demand, only for those we are going to apply this scaffolding process. And the simplest kind of mock of stub. Stub means a portion of the work. So before here what happens is, here we do a mock testing. What is mock? Mock is nothing but a fake. Mock is nothing but a fake. Here we do a fake testing. We do a fake. Students, you are understanding now? You are understanding the points?
Yes, ma'am.
A mock can be generated automatically by analysis of a source code. A mock is limited to checking the expected invocation and producing a pre-computed result that are part of test case specification or were recorded in a prior execution. Yes, students. In scaffolding, we do scaffolding means only whichever is necessary, whichever is on demand, only those specific functionalities we check. In the mock or in the fake testing, in the mock testing, what happens, whichever is I'll give an example. Before you go to interview, what in the placement training, if you attend a placement training, you'll get a idea. Before you go to a placement training, what they do, they show you the mock training, how the mock interview, how the interview will be, what type of questions they ask. Correct, no? So it is a part of placement training. In the placement training, they will tell you how the training will be, how the training will be, and in the interview, what type of questions they ask. It may be technical interview or it may be a personal interview. They do a mock test. If they conduct a mock interview, they may take one or two students. And they tell you like this type of question they ask, and students, to them, those who select, no, they may become panic. They may or some students may few students may answer boldly. So they will select a two category, who is little shy kind of student and who is a little bold student. So those two types of students they'll select, and they will show you how the mock interview will be. So they cannot take each and every student, and they cannot show you how the mock interview will be. Correct, no? Similarly, here also in mock testing, whichever is expected, and whichever is in demand, only that portion will be tested. Only that specific will be added, specific specification will be tested. Not all in mock testing, everything will not be included. So, depending on the system build or order of the relation of unit testing to integration in a particular process, isolating the model under test is sometimes considered. Students, this is incomplete here. Somewhere it has got cut. So this point I'll check in the book and I'll tell you later. So here you understand that a mock test scaffolding is applied for a specific test case. It is not applied on a complete program, a complete project. The scaffolding, wherever it is necessary, wherever it is in demand, only there we check, we apply this scaffolding. And mock testing or mock scaffolding will be done. That is again, this mock also will be done based on wherever it is necessary. As I told this interview example, so in a mock interview, they'll not conduct a mock interview with all the students. So they may select one or two students, or three, maximum 3-4 students. They may pick up, and they may conduct a mock interview to those students, and they will tell others to observe how they are responding, how the interviewer is asking questions. Like that, they will tell. Test Oracle students. So before I start this test Oracle, I'll ask you a few questions. You have to answer me. What is testing? Yes, students, what is testing? What is testing? Respond. What is testing? Yes, students, what is testing? Aishwarya, what is testing? I said, what is testing?
Ma'am, like we will check that actual software products matches like expected requirements.
Expected requirements, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Software product like defect free. Yeah, there is no effect. Like
And what is testing? Yes, students, testing is nothing but checking. Testing is
faults,
nothing but
errors.
Yes, testing is nothing but
Testing
checking
requirements.
any bugs, any error, any problem, any difficulties, anything is there in a task, in a given task. Checking testing is nothing but any errors, any bugs, or any problem or any difficulties are there in a given task. When we when we say software testing, then in a program, when we say that the testing may be done, the testing we don't apply only on software. The testing will be applied in our daily life also. Correct, no? I When you cook a food, there at that time also you test. Yes, I every time I tell, no, before your mother, before she serves a food to her kids, she will test whether it has cooked properly or not. So that is also testing. That is also one way we are checking whether that prepared food is done properly or not. Because before we serve somebody, before we give to other um, uh, before we serve to others, so we have to check whether it has done properly or not. So in the case of software testing, whatever the function, whatever the project we apply, or sorry, whatever the project we develop, so that we are going to check whether the functions, or whether the functions are working properly, all the fields are working properly. So everything will be tested. So before we implement that in the program, so what we do, we write manually. We write, if not writing manually, at least we assume, we think, correct, no, we think whether the functionality what is whatever I have added, whether it is working properly or not. So generally what happens, when you create a login page, when you create a login page, so what we do, give we we give two we use two text boxes and one button. When I click on this button here, I give ID and password. ID and password. If these two are matching successfully, then it will log in. It will log in, and we can go to the home page. We can go to home. Is it correct, students? We can go to home page. So if I am not writing manually also, before I execute this page, will I'll assume, no, I'll think whether it is working properly, whether it will work properly. I will think, no. Yes, students. Before I execute and check whether my login page is working properly or not, I will assume. Or the good way of testing is, I have to write manually, and I have to write, if this ID and this password is matching, then it should move to the home page. If not, I am writing manually, at least I will assume, I will think that I will imagine that if these two fields are not fields are matching, then it will go to the home page. If these two fields are not matching, then it has to give a proper error message. It has to give a proper error message. Login ID and password is not matching, or any other with respect to the mistake, whatever the mistakes I have done. So for that, it should give a proper error message. So similarly, in testing also, it happens the same thing. When we develop a page, it may be a login page, it may be a registration page, or it may be any other details page. So each functionality, whatever the functionality we are adding, it should give, before I do it automatically. Before I do it automatically, I have to inspect. I have to check manually whether I can be able to implement these test cases or not. So that is test oracle. So it is little used to execute a test suite automatically if execution results must be manually inspected to apply pass or fail criterion. So we may not say that definitely my test case will pass. So sometimes the test cases may also fail. So but what we have to do is implement the test case, implement the test case and check when if the test case is if it is not having any error. If it is not having any error, if login ID and password both are matching, then the test case will pass. The test case will pass and it will move to the next page, and it will move to the next page, that is home page. If it is not passing, if it is failing, if the test case is failing, when the test case will fail, students, when the login ID and password is not matching, then the test case will fail, and it has to display the failure notification. It has to display the failure notification. Your test case has failed. Your test case has failed, and test case has failed. So you have not given a proper username and or correct valid username and password. So it is it is not able to log in to this website. So whatever the error message you want to give, but you have to give you have to provide a failure notification, students. You have to provide a failure notification. If you are not providing a failure notification, just if you once I give username and password, if I click on login button without any error message, without any failure message, if it is not going to home page, then what I understand, whether the mistake in the code or mistake in the interface or mistake in the username and password, I'll not understand. So that's why here we have to give a proper error message. We have to give a proper error message. So if I give a proper error message, then I will be able to do work properly. Capture and reply. Students, capture and reply, I'll do it in the next class. Yes, students, answer your attendance. Answer your attendance. Astha,
Present, ma'am.
Abhinav, Abhinav, Aishwarya,
Present, ma'am.
Ambrish, Anu,
Present, ma'am.
Arbaz,
Yes, ma'am.
Arjun,
Present, ma'am.
Ashok, Ashok, Benita, Bhargavi, Bhavisha,
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra,
Present, ma'am.
Dev, Diksha,
Present, ma'am.
Deepika L,
Present, ma'am.
Deepika M,
Present, ma'am.
Murli,
Present, ma'am.
Gangubai,
Present, ma'am.
Gudia,
Present, ma'am.
Harshit,
Present, ma'am.
Junjar,
Present, ma'am.
Kavya,
Present, ma'am.
Kishore,
Present, ma'am.
Lata,
Yes, ma'am.
Manisha,
Did ma'am.
Manjunath, Nayana,
Present, ma'am.
Neelanjan,
Yes, ma'am.
Nishant,
Present, ma'am.
Pavitra,
Present, ma'am.
Maithili,
Present, ma'am.
Priyanka,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan,
Present, ma'am.
Akash.
Present, ma'am.
Pavan, why you're not attending proctor meetings? Last two proctor meeting you didn't attend. You call me, Pavan. After this class, you call me. Rajeshwari,
Present, ma'am.
Rakesh,
Present, ma'am.
Ramya,
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi,
Present, ma'am.
Ravi Shankar, Rizwan, Vishal, Rizwan absent.
Present, ma'am.
Rizwan absent. Savita,
Yes, ma'am.
Shruti,
Present, ma'am.
Sneha,
Yes, ma'am.
Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Srinidhi,
Present, ma'am.
Srinivas,
Present, ma'am.
Sunil,
Present, ma'am.
Vaishnavi,
Present, ma'am.
Vinny,
Present, ma'am.
Ma'am Bhargavi present, ma'am.
okay. Abhinav is absent, no? Abhinav, Arbaz, Arbaz. Arbaz is there?
Yes, ma'am.
Why you didn't answer for the attendance, Arbaz? Did you answer?
Yes, ma'am. Answer.
Okay, Arbaz is absent. Only Arbaz is absent.
I am present, ma'am.
Sorry, Abhinav, only Abhinav is absent.
Ma'am, Rizwan power went, ma'am, during attendance.
Rizwan answer madilla alla?
Yes, ma'am, during the attendance power went, ma'am.
Okay. Ravi Shankar is not there. Ravi Shankar. Okay, students, we are left with only one chapter. In another two classes next week, I'm going to complete the syllabus. So once I complete the syllabus, we can do revision and real-time test cases, with real-time examples we can discuss, and we can do some activities. Okay, students, I'll stop here.